Hey there, digital friends. Meteorologist James Gilbert here, we are looking at a busy forecast over the next several days. Whether or not you're tuning in now or kind of just joining us as we move along, thanks for watching. We always appreciate that, and we're going to start to do this a little bit more once that weather starts to get more active. Kind of 11 a.m. update, just to keep you informed at all times as of what's going on. A busy rest of the week, large storm system heading in this direction, and it's going to bring a little bit of everything. I think we see some rain. I think we see a lot of snow. Josh, thank you for joining me. We are going to be busy over the next few days.
Good to be here, and yes, we will, especially the end of the week. Yeah,
I think so. Right now on the ground, a lot of green. Some spots have a little bit of snow that have been able to savor some shade. This is unofficial. I think 1 inch in Rochester is probably appropriate. It's 1 inch or less, I would say. Some of the higher elevations, Wyoming County, have a couple more inches, and then closer to Oswego as well. But I think some areas will be adding to these numbers.
Oh, yeah.
As we get over the next few days. I think today is gray. Northeast wind, that's a drizzle, maybe some low-level fog.
I call it the no-good northeast wind because it's just pesters you. You know, comes in right off the lake. It's raw, it's damp, and what a stark contrast to yesterday when we had, you know, sunshine, 53-degree air.
Yeah.
And, you know, people were just loving life, throwing the sunglasses on and going forth. Today we go from 53 to reverse the numbers to 35.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. I had a winter jacket on yesterday.
Yeah.
And that was a mistake.
Yesterday?
Yeah, that was a mistake.
Okay.
I know.
You got your days mixed up.
I totally did. I know. Today is that jacket. There's a fur ring around my jacket, though, and I removed it for yesterday. So for what it's worth.
One step in the right direction, I guess.
I got rid of the fur. So you can see the wind with these streamlines, you know, a lot of it coming off the lake, that raw wind keeping us in the 30s, and it feels like even the 20s. But really those temperatures, especially right at the surface, going to make all the difference when we're talking precipitation type. Quiet right now, a larger view though of this storm system. I mean, this thing is stretching. You know, we've got snow showers, looks like in Colorado, Kansas, Nebraska, and then extends all the way into the mid-Atlantic.
Yeah, the surface low right now is still in down here in Texas. The upper level energy is diving here from the north, as you can see here.
Yeah.
And so we're expecting that low to track almost like such through the Tennessee Valley and then up through into Pennsylvania, and then, you know, boy, at that point it's a critical track, because a little further west and it's more of a milder situation. A little further east and we draw in a little more cold air, and that could change the forecast for snow totals on the upside in a big way. So we still got to fine-tune some of these things, but this is definitely a very kind of borderline pattern, I guess is the only way I could put it.
Yeah, for sure. I drew that jet stream in, and depending on how far down that deepens, if it turns a little bit more negative, we could see some more. And I think the moisture, there's just going to be a ton of moisture in place over the next few days, regardless of what type of precipitation.
Well, yeah, one of the models by Thursday morning is, you know, putting out a good solid inch of quantitative precipitation, solid inch and a half.
Yeah.
So if that's wet snow, okay, you know, we're not going to put any numbers out right now, but that could be a substantial amount of wet snow.
Yeah.
It all depends on the timing of the cold air, how it moves in, and how much of that precipitation is spent on snow versus rain as to how much total snowfall we'll see.
Yeah.
But either way, Arctic air comes in, and the lake effects are going to be long-lasting. So I think right now it's more important to kind of concentrate on the fact that we're going to be dealing with a prolonged period of wintry weather beginning late Wednesday night, probably continuing into Sunday morning. And so that's really the take-home message, I think, at this point, until we start resolving, you know, fine-tuning some of those snow totals.
Yeah, in the next 24 hours, everything is marginal, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about temperatures kind of right on the edge. Elevation could play a factor. The location of the moisture, the location of the lift. So many questions the next 24 hours. But the next 72 hours, we can pretty much guarantee there's going to be the cold air around the corner, and there's going to be the lake effect that ramps up.
Right, exactly. And we're all shivering and shoveling the end of the week, some of us doing more shoveling, but all of us, make no mistake, shivering, and it's a decent blast of cold air. It's pure Arctic air based on the temperature structure of the atmosphere, and it comes in with a punch. And then the way it comes in is the way it goes, because by early next week, we're back in the 40s.
Yeah, March. Yeah. Looking mild.
Right.
To start.
But February exiting with a little bit of flair.
Yeah, right. It says, you know what, I got one more day in the year, in the month.
It's like going to a concert, you know, listening to the Pops play, and they have their grand old finale, and then off you go.
Yep, exactly. So, all right, so here's the RPM, Rapid Precision Mesoscale model, and we're jumping already into overnight tonight and tomorrow. This is going to be one of those situations, I think, where we have to watch the surface temperatures and we have to watch the elevation. You see Dansville a degree colder than Rochester. You know, that could make all the difference between if we see a little bit of a slushy accumulation further south, closer to the lakeshore. We're saying look at SOTUS at 33. We could see snow fall. It's funny, I was talking about this yesterday, how we talked about, you know, you think you can't get snow with temperatures at 34, 35 degrees. Well, we can get snow, it just might not stick.
Right, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you know, we've got elevations in here. We've got Harriet Hollister Park, we've got Bristol Mountain down here, we've got Wyoming County and the high terrain of western Livingston out here. And these are favorable locations for, you know, a couple inches of slushy, pasty, wet snow overnight and into tomorrow. And you might even see some wet snow, as you said, will fall here in Rochester. It might not stick. You know, the pavement might just be wet tomorrow morning, but get onto the grass and get onto the hilltops, and, you know, you're just starting to see just a little bit of that fantastic spring wet snow that everybody loves around here, that just makes you smile.
Right, yeah, low snow ratios. It's a wet, slushy snow that's kind of unpleasant. So this is getting through Wednesday. Now, interestingly, a few days ago on Sunday, I think I might have had 50 degrees for Wednesday in the forecast. So that has trended significantly downward. You know, all the models were showing we're going to get significant warm air Wednesday, I think because of the track of the low. That changed. The forecast changes, which it always does. We always say that, and it was 4 days out.
And it would probably be 50 on the coast based on this pattern.
Sure. Right. Yeah, we've got Binghamton in the lower 40s there, and you get warmer and warmer. So that has obviously trended eastward. The cold air has trended eastward, and that will favor that changeover. As you mentioned, Wednesday night and into Thursday, that's when we're going to really start to see that snow.
Note 26 Toronto versus, you know, practically 40 in Ithaca.
Right.
So it's a quick burst of cold, and this is when we start to see, you know, we'll have lake enhancement and then just pure lake effect after that.
Right.
We start to see a little bit of that right there Thursday night.
Indicating that. Right, right. And then by that time, that's the snowing constantly type scenario.
Right. And it's a pretty good low. It does intensify to our north, that system. So I think there's going to be quite a bit of wind as we get into late Thursday night, Friday, as that system intensifies.
And that's what we have lakeshore flood watches, I think, in effect?
Yes, on the east side of the lake and also out towards Lake Erie. And winter storm watch for Wyoming County. You
mentioned the QPF, Quantitative Precipitation Forecast.
Yeah.
I put it in here.
See?
This is the GFS.
Yeah.
These numbers are impressive. Over an inch, inch and a half.
It's a juicy system. It's a juicy setup.
Yeah.
You know, if it's all rain, it's just we've got mud, and that, you know, I think the favor, you know, obviously this dark purple area could shift a little east, could shift a little west.
Right.
But if you're getting 1.34 inches of precipitation, that's mostly snow. That's a sizable amount of snow for areas west of Rochester. This is the area that would favor snow. This is the area that would favor more, you know, maybe a rain-snow mix. And Rochester, it's kind of something in between. This is a close call.
Yeah, it really is a close call. And then, of course, let's see, what do I have next year? Yeah, builds.
And then that's all snow at that point.
That's all snow.
Right.
This is GFS, or I'm sorry, this is the European future snow. I don't have any numbers on here, but the colors indicate where the focus is going to be with some of the accumulations. Further closer to Buffalo, and then this indicates, yeah, we'll see some lake effects. So those, you know.
I mean, we're talking a good 2 feet of snow out here, potentially out east of Lake Ontario, not in Rochester, but this is where the west wind, low pressure to the north, cuts right across the lake. If you're a snowmobiler, you are in luck before the end of the week into the weekend.
And I think really they're low on average for precipitation. I think for snowfall, Tug Hill is a little bit on the lower side.
This could be one of their most significant events of the season.
Yep. Yeah, for sure, with that cold air.
Yep.
Okay, let's see what else we got here. Okay, there we go. This is what I wanted to show. Winter storm watch for Wyoming County. That is, I mean, until Saturday, so that probably doesn't even kick in until tomorrow night, I would assume.
Yeah, I think it's Thursday morning. Yeah,
it's Thursday morning.
Yeah, Wednesday. I think Wednesday night out here, Thursday, but something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So this doesn't even take into account any precipitation that we're seeing tomorrow.
But that gives you the idea, as I mentioned before. It's a prolonged wintry stretch. Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday, Friday night. This keeps going through Saturday.
Right.
And remember, in the weather world, lake effect always lingers longer than even some of the models, led on to.
Yeah.
So, I could see some areas here, southeast end of Lake Ontario, still seeing lake snow on Sunday morning.
Wow. Yeah.
Until the ridge builds in.
Lingering that long.
Yeah.
And then the Lakeshore Flood Watch does not apply to us on the southern shores of Lake Ontario, but it does mean that whenever you see that headline, anywhere you see it, just think wind. We're going to have a lot of wind, and that wind is going to be, I think, lasting, for quite a long time with the cold air.
There were some indications, maybe some good 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts, even up towards the south shore of Lake Ontario by later Thursday.
Yeah, right. And then that goes all the way up into
because it's Arctic
the
air.
Thousand Islands.
Right, and that lake is warm. You put Arctic air over warm lake water, and it's going to have its effects.
Yeah, this is a fun graphic. I put the 32-degree line on here. The yellow indicates the forecast, and according to this anyways, we stay above the 32-degree line for a good portion of tomorrow. This is Rochester, and then even into Wednesday night. It takes all the way until Thursday morning for us to drop below that mark. Now, again, this is going to be right on the fringe, but it indicates that if we stay above 32 degrees, it's going to be a slushy wet snow for a good portion of tomorrow.
Spring snows.
Right. Okay, so yeah, I'll put this on the web, but this kind of just overviews exactly what we said. Rain moves from south to north. Higher elevations, we'll look at some snow showers. Tomorrow, of course, going to be that rain and snow mix, depending on elevation and location. Some of it doesn't stick, but watch out for tomorrow morning. Could be a little bit of a slick commute in some spots. And then Thursday, Friday, that's when the action begins. Of course, the lake effect snow really ramping up. So I took this from your graphic, the 8-day forecast. Probably the biggest takeaway is going to be that cold air. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You think below zero wind chills maybe a couple of those days?
Well, certainly in the higher terrain.
Yeah.
And especially if the core of the wind is going to be here with the Arctic incursion Thursday, dropping into the teens Thursday night. In Rochester, probably some single digits elsewhere, and a factor in a 30-mile-an-hour wind at times. It'll be down there.
Yeah, right. It'll feel like single digits. Yeah. I'm going skiing on Thursday. So we should see. I might have to bundle up.
Remember that fur liner? You might want to put it back on.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm going to Swain Resort on Thursday. So
that'll be fun.
Right. I know. Interesting timing there. It's funny because we were going to go last Thursday, but it was 0-degree wind chills to start the day and bitter cold. So we're like, okay, maybe we'll wait till next week. We can't avoid it.
You know how to pick them, don't you?
Yeah, right. Well, we're going to post this video on RochesterFirst.com, and of course you can rewatch the forecast. And you'll be in at noon.
I'll be here at noon. That's right.
Sounds good. All right. Well, thank you for watching, and have a good rest of your day.
So long.